Hey guys, I just wanted to do a little informal video today to talk about people who put you down. Okay? So I just want to go back to my own childhood and I want to talk a little bit about that. And I'll try not to make the video too long if possible. And I'll give you my views on certain things. Let me just say something. As a child, I was put down constantly. My self-esteem was battered from pillar to post, going from the time I was 3, 4, 5 years old, right through my teenage years into adulthood, in all walks of life, in school, in work, at home, on the street. I was always put down. I was put down by teachers. As a young kid, I was put down by children. I was put down by family members. I was put down by bosses and work colleagues and all the rest of it, okay? And what I've come to realize in life is that when people put you down, they are doing it for their own benefit. See, we all have most of us have a tendency to take things personally. And we don't look at the bigger picture. We only look at the small part of the picture, and we feel the pain, we feel the shame, the guilt, the embarrassment, and all the negative emotions. But we don't look at the bigger picture and to look at why those people are actually doing what they're doing to you. You know, like you get these people in life who they will some people befriend you in order to wound you. Okay? Because a lot of people are driven by envy. And envy is an emotion that's difficult for people to admit to themselves. Because, excuse me, to admit envy is like an admission of inferiority. So people will befriend you in order to wound you, and those wounds come by way of remarks to put you down, to minimize you, to belittle you. But it's all to do with their own feelings of inferiority. Okay? I remember when I was a kid, I was part of a big family. I had 6 sisters and a brother. My mother was old enough to be my grandmother. And the ridicule I received in school because I was part of a big family. Right? Because another reason why people put you down is because it's a form of entertainment. Some people do constructive things to entertain themselves. Other people do negative things to entertain themselves, to make themselves feel better. So I was made fun of for having lots of sisters because most kids had 1 or 2 brothers or sisters. I had 7 others. And my mother had a few of my front teeth taken out when I was a young kid. And because they needed to be taken out at that time. And I received merciless ridicule in school because of that. And I was beaten up emotionally, constantly being made fun of. And it led to a lot of rebelliousness. I was always fighting. I was always fighting with various people. And I can remember actually, because I've had OCD most of my life, I can remember ruminating constantly because I wasn't used to losing a fight. And I lost one particular fight. And I can remember being up nights just ruminating and replaying this fight over and over in my head, trying to change the ending. Trying to change it so that I won. And I could never do it. And it tortured me. But no, I mean, people do it for envy reasons. They put you down. They do it for entertainment reasons. Boredom. They do it for general feelings of inadequacy. See, usually when somebody puts you down, there's a goal. There's a hidden goal behind it. They're doing it for a reason. Sometimes they're not even aware of that reason themselves. Especially when you're kids. I mean, kids don't psychoanalyze themselves. So it could be for hidden reasons that they're not aware of, or it could be for more overt reasons. There's something about you that just rubs them up the wrong way. Maybe they're envious of a talent you got. Maybe they're envious of your looks. Maybe they're envious because you were popular. So they'll put you down. And what they'll do is they'll put you down to other people as well. And, you know, you get these people in life, and this is a great sign of a false friend. A false friend they want to know everything about you, but they'll never tell you anything about themselves. You know, you could be having a bad day and you need to vent to somebody, and you'll talk and they'll say, "Oh, really? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Tell me more." And you know, they'll worm things out to you. And when you say to them, "Well, you know, what's going on in your life then?" Nothing. I'm good. You know, and then they'll take that information back to other people, and all of a sudden you'll be going into school or into a bar or whatever it is you go, and however old you are, and you'll notice that people are reacting strangely towards you. But a lot of it is because of the fake friends and the gossip that they're spreading about you and the ways that they are putting you down. But the bigger picture is that it's all about them. And it's nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with you. I can remember when I was 11, my mother married my biological father, right? And she took me from my environment with my sisters and moved me into his house. She married him, took me with her, moved into his house with his children. So instead of becoming one of 8 children, like I was previously, that identity was more or less sort of wiped out, and now I was one of 3 kids. In a different household, in a different school, in a different life. And it was hard. And I'm not putting my father down. You know, I've forgiven him for what he's done, and I hope wherever he is, he's forgiven me for any wrongdoings that I did. But he would put me down. And I can remember coming home from work one day, and it was a payday, and I put, you know, I used to give rent money, and I'd put the money on the table. I was 21 years old, and I put an extra packet of cigarettes or something, and I went out to the kitchen, and he shouted after me, "You're a failure." Just out of the blue. And I had that off him. I had, you're a failure, you're a parasite, you're this, you're that. And I took it very personally. And you know, the thing is, what he was doing there was trying to motivate me to do better in life. That was his way of motivating me. But what it did, because I took it personally, it destroyed my confidence, or helped to, you know, I didn't have much confidence anyway. But it just destroyed it worse. And I don't have any children personally, but if I ever did, I certainly wouldn't be saying that to them. Because people take on programs. And what happens is one of the best forms of creating a state of consciousness in another person, of hypnotizing another person, is repetition. This is what the powers be do to us when they constantly repeating things through the TV. They repeat it until it becomes true, even if it's not. So if you keep telling somebody, you're a loser, you're a loser, you're a loser, you're a failure, you're this, you're that, and you keep doing it, eventually that program will become automated. And it goes from them beating you up emotionally to you beating yourself up emotionally, because you have now automated that program, and that program has got a life of its own and it's going. So when somebody gets to the age of 30 or 40 and they're incredibly fucked up, that's the past in them living in the present moment. When somebody is dysfunctional, when they are too shy to say hello to somebody, or whether they're strange in some way, that's the past right there. See, what tends to happen, and this is interesting, right? What tends to happen, think about this. A young kid in school, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, gets put down and put down and put down and put down. He takes on the programming, okay? It becomes automated, especially before the age of like 7, because that's when your mind is more open to new programming. He goes along the timeline, he finishes school, he goes out to get a job. Now, by this time, he's taken so much abuse and he's got very low self-esteem. He then enters this job, and he enters the job at 18, 19 years old, and he's a quiet, shy kid. So what happens? He gets picked on and bullied and put down because he's a shy, quiet kid by people who lack empathy, who have their own agenda in some way for doing what they're doing, like I've talked about. So he gets bullied at 18, 19 years of age because he's shy. So he's lived along the timeline. He got bullied and bullied, which made him shy, gets to that point, shy, gets bullied. So they are bullying him at the age of 18 or 19 because he got bullied when he was 7 or 8. So they punishing him along here for being punished there. Do you understand? People don't have insight. They don't look at a shy person or a quiet person and think, oh, you know, poor sod, you know, I know, let's be a builder, not a destroyer. Let's build this person's confidence. Let's see this person flourish, and let's see the person's true potential coming out. No, he gets bullied for being bullied. He gets bullied at 18 for being bullied at the age 8 or whatever. usually by people who themselves have been bullied or have some form of envy or need entertainment or whatever the case may be, or they need an ego boost. They can see somebody they think is weak, and if they pick on that person, which is parasitical because they're robbing that person of energy so that they themselves can inflate themselves and feel better. It's all about feeling better. Whether it's envy, whether it's boredom, whether it's anything else, the purpose of putting other people down is for that person to feel better and bigger and more amplified. Excuse me, I got a bit of a cold. So looking back to my father, in my father's case, I think it was just a case of him trying to motivate me. But you know, if you blame somebody for all the bad, you've got to blame them for the good too. If you look left, you've got to look right. If you look down, you've got to look up. You know, if you blame somebody for all the bad, then you've got to blame them in order to forgive them. You've got to blame them for all the things they did good. And blame them much more powerfully for the things they did good than the things they did bad. I don't think my father ever intended to hurt me. I just think he wanted to motivate me, but I took everything personally. So when somebody puts you down, instead of taking it personally, look at that person as having an agenda. They need to puff themselves up. Okay? Whether it's, like I said, through envy, whether it's through boredom, or whether it's because they feel inadequate, or whether it's just because they're plain hateful. Whatever the reason, when somebody puts you down, it's an agenda that they have, and it has absolutely nothing to do with you. Nothing. And if you look at all the greats in history, you look at all the people that ever did anything with their lives, the heavyweight champions of the world, the people who invented things, the Wright brothers, the guy who invented infrared, or somebody who put somebody into space, or a celebrity that went from living in poverty to being a megastar. Look at Sly Stallone. Sly Stallone was an unpaid actor. He was a small-time actor, a bit parts every now and again, who decided to write his own ticket. And in a small little apartment, a tiny little apartment, probably smaller than this room, he wrote the script for Rocky. And he wrote it in 3 days, the first draft anyway. And he went on to become one of the biggest stars in Hollywood ever. And people put him down. People put Tyson Fury down. But you know the difference between those people and other people is they didn't take it personally. Somehow, they realized that other people have an agenda. Misery loves company. And when other people can see you doing something, or they themselves are miserable, they want company. They want company, and they also want to feel amplified. And the best thing to do is see through the illusion. Like in The Wizard of Oz, when the curtain comes back, it is the old man hiding behind the curtain. See it for what it is. That is just weak people. Weak people needing to feel strong, wanting company in their misery, because they don't want you going any further. I remember years ago, I was singing in a band. I was 21 years old. I was a singer. I wasn't a very good singer, but I did have stage presence. And but I can always remember certain people putting me down and ruining my confidence. And as it turns out, it wasn't my direction really anyway. So maybe it was a good thing, but that's not the point. If it was a natural talent of mine or what I really wanted to do deep down, then I allowed other people to destroy it because I listened to them. You know? So basically, what's the whole message of this video? The message of this video is, when people put you down, just laugh at it. Because what tends to happen as well is when they put you down, sometimes those biting words that they say resonates with what's already inside you. So if you're so far along the timeline and you've already taken a bit of abuse and somebody says something, then that almost resonates with something that's already there. But it's all an illusion. It's all a lie. Like Neo in the Matrix, when he's given the blue pill or the red pill and the choice to take one or the other, and he gets to see what reality really is and that he's been living in the Matrix the whole time. You know, at the end of the day, you are a lovable human being and a sensitive human being. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this video. And, you know, let me just say this. The people on the outside, people who are sort of on the fringes of things, the outsiders, they tend to be the most interesting people. And when you look at movies and everything that have been made, it's usually, oftentimes, it's the fringe people that get written about and seem to be the protagonists in movies. Because the outsiders, the fringe people, are the most interesting. You know, it's like in school when you get all the cool kids, when they're all part of, you know, they sporty and they attract the most women. Usually the wrong type of women, by the way. And they the big swinging dick around town, you know. They part of a collective. You know, they're not really so much the people that grow in life. You know, because there's two types of people. There's people who evolve and there's people who don't. And you usually find the people who are in collectives are normally people that don't think for themselves. They are part of a collective, like the fucking Borg in Star Trek. And they're not so much independent thinkers. And independent thinkers often get put down because they're different. And that's another reason why people get put down, by the way, is because they're different. And people sometimes afraid of what's different. So, and the first thing, you know, they do is ridicule it. But again, it's not about you. If you were different in some way, you are who you are. You know, it's them. It's not about you. It's never about you. Unless you actually do something. As long as you turn up and you say, hi, how you doing? And you're nice and you are normal and you present yourself normally, you've got nothing to approach yourself about. As long as you've stayed your side of the line and you've been nice and done everything that you can do, if somebody else got a problem, that's up to them. You have to realize, and I have to drum this into you, it's not about you. When people are putting you down, it's about them and their stuff. And I used to hear all this through the years. And I used to think, oh, that's just wishy-washy, mumbo-jumbo stuff that people like to believe to make themselves feel better. But it happens to be the truth. And as you go through life, you'll realize this, you know. So anyway, I'm going to give it a rest and I'm going to shut down. But I just want you to know that you're a beautiful, loving, feeling human being. And you're just as valuable as anyone else. You got 2 arms and 2 legs. They got 2 arms and 2 legs. You got a head. They got a head. You got likes and dislikes. They got likes and dislikes. You have a lot more in common with each other than differences. So you are no worse than what they are. You were different. You were unique. You are not special. You are just unique. They are not special. They are just unique. But at the same time, what I mean by not special, I mean you shouldn't take things personally. Once you see the bigger picture for what it is, you should just see it as people have their own strategies and their own ways of dealing with things. People, okay, let me end on this. You want to do something positive with your life. You want to feel better. And action is always a good way of feeling better. Action makes you feel better, increases your self-esteem. So what do? You think, you know what? I'm going to do a bit of charity work. So you go and do a bit of charity work. You feel better. The other people feel better because you've helped them. You've done something positive in order to feel better. Asshole number 1 and asshole number 2 and asshole number 3 want to feel better, but they don't do charity work or they don't do something positive. They do something negative to achieve the same result. They, instead of doing charity work, decide to put you down and make you feel bad about yourself because that makes them feel good. So you did charity work so that you can feel good. They put you or somebody else down so that they can feel good. In a way, it's a positive intention behind it all. Except what you are doing is constructive, what they are doing is destructive. When people put you down, it's to make themselves feel better. And, you know, it's funny. I keep saying I'm going to end the video and I keep going on. It's, people haven't changed that much through the ages. People haven't changed that much. If you went back in time, right, and you had an iPad, you had a smartwatch, you had a cell phone, and you went back in time, let's say a few hundred years, they'd probably burn you at the stake because they wouldn't understand who or what you really are. They'd probably think that you're something else and they burn you at the stake because they're ignorant. But in a sense, they're righteously ignorant because they don't know. I'm not talking about burning you at the stake. That's wrong. But what I'm saying is they're righteously ignorant. They just don't know any better. People of today are exactly the same, except they got smartwatches and they got iPhones. Anyone who's a little bit different gets ridiculed. Look at him. He's got a stamp collection. Or look at him. You know, he's into this or he's into that. Oh, shut up, you fucking moron. Get a life, grow up. People ridicule difference. They ridicule what they don't understand. If I come out and said half the things that I believe in, I'd really get ridiculed. In fact, I did not so long back. I expressed my thoughts on certain things that's happened around the world over the last 2 or 3 years, which I'm not going to go into. And I got a bit of flack for that, because people don't like other people who have an independent mind to think for themselves. And as I said to them, I said, you're a bunch of fucking sheep that believes everything you see on the TV. And this brings me back to a point about programming. When you're a child, from the time you come out of that womb, you are programmed by your parents, by your siblings, by teachers, by people on the street, by television, by radio, and you are constantly downloading information until that information becomes truth. Fuck it. I get a mind to think for myself. And as long as you don't go ramming it down people's throats, then you don't really have anything to worry about. But it's always, what does Robert Greene say in one of his books? Think as you like, but behave like everyone else. Meaning, if you're a non-conformist, basically like I am, you don't have to ram it down people's throat in order to be different, because you'll just get rejected. You can still get along with everybody and still have a mind to think for yourself. But you seriously want to have a think about that programming, because we are programmed constantly from the time we are born. I mean, when I come out of the womb, I looked at the midwife and I thought, what a cunt. And that's basically, she was all right. But yeah, this programming of humanity, and the way that humanity programs itself. But it's all programming, it's all beliefs. You don't have to believe it. Always, always, always look at the bigger picture. When somebody's putting you down, look at what's in it for them. What's in it for them when they are doing it? When people take an action, when you get up from the living room and you walk to the kitchen, there's usually an intention behind it. Okay? Could be for something to eat. It could be for a cup of coffee. It could be for anything. Whatever actions people take in life, there's normally an objective, a goal. So when somebody is putting you down, there's a goal behind it. And the goal has nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with you. Anyway, I'm going to go, and I don't know if I'm going to do another video before Christmas or not. I hope to, or over Christmas. But in any event, thank you very much. God bless you all, and take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.